Hello, everyone. I'm Robert Perry. I'm running for U.S. House of Representatives for Kentucky's 2nd District, and I'm on a bit of quest. I'm trying to help as many people as I can discover that they're already libertarian. And after they do that, I'm going to be on the ballot for them so that they can better express the fact that they're libertarian. But I'm not alone in that. And one of the people who's helping me is Tim Filback. Tim, you're going to be on the ballot too. Where are you going to be on the ballot, man?
District 23 down in Barron County and eastern Warren County.
Okay, excellent. So, wow, the people there are really lucky because they get to vote for Joe Jorgensen and Spike Cohen. They get to vote for Brad Barron.
Yes.
They're absolutely, of course, going to vote for me. I mean,
Well,
what? Of course. And then they get Tim Filback. And that's awesome. And we're going to be talking about getting law enforcement back to the way they used to be. That's what do you mean by that exactly, Tim?
Well, just basically get them out of the tactical gear. Let's put them back as civil servants.
Right.
I remember growing up in Louisville, the cops wore nice shiny shoes. They wore nice slacks. They were, they didn't look like they were getting ready to assault a building. So.
Right. And Joe's pointing out, I did a little quick video today just to try to point a few people at this, but I almost did the video based on Andy Griffith because, I mean, that's really kind of what I thought myself when you said that. And it's because a lot of people know I'm friends with David Patterson, and Dave's one of those guys who's proud of why he got in police work. But after you brought up the topic of getting them back to the way they used to be, I got to thinking about it. And it's like, when you and I were growing up, a lot of the stuff on TV was the exciting police drama where you do whatever you have to do to get the bad guy, and it's a different culture than the Andy Griffith. And I don't think I ever would have wanted to have been a police officer watching some of the stuff that we saw growing up. But if you watch Andy Griffith, that's a different personality. And I gotta imagine if you're somebody who wants to be the Andy Griffith cop, you're probably not gonna want to be the modern cop and vice versa.
Well, you could say times have changed. But it's all about de-escalation and
Sure.
talking to folks. And there was an instance, I think it was in Virginia, where a young man called for help. He was in distress, drugs. Cops showed up, the EMS showed up, and they were trying to get the gentleman into the back of the EMS, and he didn't want to go. Officer walks up casually, pulls out his taser, tases him, drops him to the ground. And we have to talk to one another. It just comes back to basic human rights.
Right.
We're all human.
Well, the dog isn't. The dog wants out, man.
I was trying to ignore him.
What was that? It said, I believe it asked if he's being detained.
Yeah, he wants out. but yeah, it's just talking to folks. And I've never been a cop, never claimed to be.
Right.
But from what I've seen in my years in living in Louisville and now living in a small community like Barron County,
right,
I hardly ever have any interactions with police, and just getting to know your neighbor. They've showed up out here. We've shot a time or two. We're out in the county, so we can shoot as long as we're shooting in a safe direction. Just common sense.
right.
But we've had the law out here. We got a call, so we got to come out and check it out. And I could have been I guess I tried to de-escalate the situation myself. It's like, we're shooting in a safe direction, teaching the kids gun safety, and it was a real good, but it could have easily. I mean, could have easily went the other way.
Sure.
And he was very cordial and nice. So
yeah, I love all my and it's not just 2A friends. It's not even just libertarian friends, but all the people I know who are serious about guns. They're also serious about teaching gun safety, and it's not just here's how to avoid it. There's the age where it's time for the child to learn how to operate a firearm safely, and of course, different people are going to disagree on when that is. But one of my friends, I remember when his daughter was very young, like 4 and 5, he was just predicting when she got to be a teen, he was going to have the shiniest shotgun in all of Shelby County. But I thought what he did was really clever. I really liked this. Is when she got into high school and she started dating, what he would do is he would invite the both of them out shooting, because the point wasn't the young man seeing that he could shoot. The point was letting the young man see his daughter could shoot.
Well, it's also nice to show off your arsenal.
Sure.
From time to time.
Sure. But to my understanding, his daughter was a good shot. That's actually kind of how you got into this race. Is I don't think the incumbent is quite as serious about the right to bear arms as you.
No, not at all. I see where he's coming from. I really do. I can't say anything bad other than the way he voted on this. I looked at his voting record, and I would have probably voted about the same way on most of it. But when it comes to the Second Amendment, and there's just there's no exceptions. There's no deviating from what our founders said. So,
right.
And I'm all gun rights are infringements.
All gun laws are infringements. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oops.
He voted against constitutional carry, and
right.
But he wasn't. I don't think he's an avid shooter. So he did go to the local sheriff and talk to the Glasgow PD, their chief, and
right.
They expressed their concern for training, lack thereof, and I understand that. I completely do. But these are our God-given rights. These were not given to us by anybody here.
Right.
So.
The second doesn't say, "Hey, we are granting these citizens these rights." It says the right shall not be infringed, which is the polar opposite. They already have it. We don't get to take it away. That's what that says.
Right.
But I sort of drug you off topic because you were wanting to talk about demilitarizing the police force. How do you do that?
Well, I guess it depends on, listening to the left talk and the right talk. I know the left come out with a radical defund the police. And I was like, wow, that's radical. But
Dave's going to be rather upset when he can't pay rent.
Well, it's just keeping Dave out of a Humvee, or Dave running around with a full auto weapon. I met Dave at the past convention, and I didn't get to talk to him much. I listened to him,
right?
And really good dude. And I hate that he's really getting beat up right now, or he's feeling that he's getting beat up,
right? Well, he commonly makes the point that you just don't, group people, and you don't say all blah, and then the inverse of that is when you fail to say certain or some or even too many. There's an implicit all in there. I mean, Trump did it with the idea of they're coming across the border and raping and killing. He didn't put it that way, but it's true. Some of them are. Some. Some of them.
And there are some Americans that
some Americans are. Yet he didn't say every day Americans are born in this country, and when they grow up, they rape and murder people. But it is true for some of them, right? So we talk about police violence. We say police tase people and police beat people to death and use pepper spray unprovoked and pin people to the ground with their knee and kill them. And it's true, they do.
They do,
but not all of them. And
not all of them.
That's Dave's hang up. And
yes, and listening to Dave and everything, listen to his instances with stops and really great guy. And I bet his people in his area are happy to have him. But what we have sometimes in a small town like mine, we just had an incident a few months back, and I won't say names because I don't want to.
I know the incident, but go ahead.
But a gentleman was in distress. The law was called.
Right.
Basically it's almost like the same situation that I was describing earlier. And the cops show up, ambulance is on the way, and all of a sudden this man is face down on the ground getting tased and winds up dying.
Right.
If you're already in distress from drugs and you're going to jack them full of juice, well, come on, man. We're all in this together. I mean, I hate to sound like King Andrew, but we're all in this together. We're all humans.
Yeah.
Brothers, sisters, cousins, nieces, nephews.
Well, I'm the guy with the tagline: peace is prosperity, and then free to love, free to live, free to prosper. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. More hugs, man. More hugs.
More hugs. I mean, that's the thing. You look at the protest. Well, first of all, and all protests are essential. I'm not saying bad protesters, but when you're protesting right off, you're not creating wealth. That doesn't make us wealthy. It's something we have to do because something's destructive is going on. So it's defensive in as far as I'm concerned. And then you have the looters and you have the back and forth going on. None of that's constructive. None of that makes our lives better. Some of it's necessary. But that could be taken wrong, but you see what I'm saying. It
Yes.
doesn't put food on the table.
There's a lot of anger though built up.
Absolutely, and there should be. We have to fix this.
Yes, and it has, but we have to talk about it. We have to talk about the black-white issue. We have to.
Right.
The war on drugs. I mean,
absolutely.
We're all libertarians. I think we all agree the war on drugs it started in 1972, and it was basically to keep the whites and the blacks and keep that culture down. It's got to stop.
Right. I don't know if the audio on this will work. This is the first time I've tried this, but check this guy out and let me know if the audio works. No victim? I'll grab you.
No victim, no crime. That's right.
That's right. Whoops, got myself there. And by the way, David Patterson was there, and he did one of those too. I didn't queue up his video, but that was it was amazing. I mean, some people saw me doing it to other people, So some people already knew what to say by the time I got to them. But for the most part, I could even surprise somebody and they would know how to react. I mean, like, if you go back and you look at the compiled video, you see Chris Weiss doesn't know what I'm doing. He's like trying to get in the frame because he doesn't know I'm going to pivot. I mean, think about this. I'm just walking up to people going, "No victim," and then tilting the phone at them to see what they do.
Yeah, there were some pretty good ones that come out of that.
Yeah, and most people are just like, "No crime."
Yep.
We know.
Yeah, stop, and we need to stop giving the cops, silly laws to enforce that just put them in danger and put us in danger.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. The more points of conflict, the worse relations are going to be, and the less footing you're going to have for managing the points of conflict that really, really matter. I mean, I don't want us mistrusting cops over pot, over even possession of drugs, or sex work, or and the whole victimless crime thing. You get into a problem because there's an innate problem not having a victim. You don't have a victim, so you don't have somebody going, "Officer, someone blah blah blah." I mean, if you were happy about the pot you just bought, you don't go tug on an officer's sleeve and report your seller. It doesn't happen. So for them to be able to enforce it, they have to be intrusive. So you have to have sting operations. You have to have Officer Patterson on the street corner dressed as a prop. Now he doesn't really do that, but you have to get into court records. And let me introduce you to Leap. Actually, I don't know if you know Leap. I got to know Leap hanging out with David in his 2014 run, and I got to introduce this to Spike Cohen yesterday when I and David Patterson were meeting, actually. And this is an exciting thing. They used to be law enforcement against prohibition. Now they've expanded themselves to be the Law Enforcement Action Partnership. But you can see they're focusing on harm reduction, police community relations. But my favorite's this war on drugs thing. And you can see what they're saying here is the war on drugs is the root of all this evil.
Yes.
And this is law enforcement advocating this. These people are our allies. When you see libertarians saying no victim, no crime, it's not a matter of well, try telling that to the cops. It's a matter of a lot of cops already know. A lot of cops are on our side on this. We need to do a better job of making them our ally, and we need to form a united front to help talk to the people who are like, "But drugs are bad." Well, you know what? Actually, I'm a drugs are bad guy. It's just I'm the war on drugs is worse guy. That's all.
Yes, and being a libertarian, we're asked questions like, "Well, you're one of those guys that want cocaine sold in gas stations," and my reply is always, "No, not gas stations. Let's do it in drugstores.
Right.
Let's sell them out of a drugstore, just like you do alcohol.
Right.
That way, if little Susie or little Johnny wants to go, they get in their mind, hey, I want to try some cocaine. Well, they can go to Walgreens, and it's clean and it's safe. They're not going to get fentanyl. But it's scary for folks.
Sure.
Because the war on drugs has been going on for longer than I've been alive. So to say, end the war on drugs, folks, change is that's radical.
But we have a model. This is
yes,
just prohibition. We've been here.
and Portugal has set a great model. I
Yes,
mean,
they have.
unbelievable. Uh, Overdoses hardly nothing.
Right.
But it's people helping people, people talking to folks, people. There's reasons why folks are on drugs, and that's what we need to kind of focus on,
So
and get them help.
so that
Age.
that's something Jacob's passionate about too. Jacob Clark, he was
Yes,
on
yes.
earlier this week. Yeah. Sadly, the folks in Warren and Barron won't get to vote for Jacob, but that's okay because the folks in Davies and I forget the other West Hardin do. There we go,
Crazy.
and they all get to vote for me. Those
And
lucky
Brad Barron,
bastards. And Brad Barron and Joe and Spike. So yeah, good stuff. Good year.
A lot of us running this year. It's good to see.
Well, it is, and I'm one of those guys. I've only done this once or twice, but I've literally cast blank ballots because I've literally studied ballots, and there's literally no one for me to vote for. I'm not because
Yes.
politicians count the votes they get, and they count the votes their competitor gets. If you vote for someone and they win, they're going to take your vote as part of the endorsement of what they're doing. They're going to say, I'm standing for these 90,000 people. Well, I cast the blank ballot as opposed to voting for the lesser evil. It's 98,999. And I love eroding at that. And we should erode at that. But for people who believe in empowering individuals, that's why we're running. That's what we're doing.
Yes.
That, in your case, people who appreciate the right to defend yourself.
Crazy me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And how many of those votes are cast out of fear?
Right.
That's what really worries me. We're a strong people. We're a strong nation.
Now,
why are we voting? Well, if I don't vote for him, this other one's going to get in. And
now I know you're familiar with ranked choice voting because we use it in our party elections. So both I and Tim were actually nominated in a primary. We actually have a primary, and we were both on ranked choice ballots. And the voters get to rank whoever they want. So just say hypothetically, me and Tim were on the same ballot. We would also have NOTA. We always put NOTA on the ballot. So the party could, first of all, decide that we don't like Rob nor Tim. We're gonna vote NOTA. But if we're gonna have somebody, let's go with Tim. And if nobody can even agree on that, crap, we'll go with this Rob guy, I guess. You can do stuff like that, but there's never, and it's really liberating when you do it, because there's never, well, I gotta go vote for A, otherwise B will get it. Exactly. Well, if you feel that way, just go A, then C, then B, or A, then C, then NOTA, whatever you want. There's no fear. It's really empowering. You get to express yourself. So in Frankfurt, are you gonna support that idea? Because
I've heard a lot of great ideas. Support that one. Property taxes.
Right.
Yes, that was beautiful. Tyler,
right.
That was awesome, man. Yes.
But I would love to have that for all of these races, because for both you and I, there's going to be some people who are like, I would really like to vote for the guy who's really strong on the Second Amendment, but I'm afraid the person who's completely anti-Second Amendment's going to get it. So yeah, I'll vote for the guy who's kind of, he mostly supports the second. I'll vote for him. It's a safer bet. because they're afraid.
Yes.
And the sad thing is they're not able to communicate to the lesser evil of what would be even more lesser. It's like you're my second choice. Be more like this guy, and you'll be my first choice. It's communication. We want information from the voters. That's what we want.
Yeah. And voters need to know that libertarians are for all their rights.
All the time.
All the time. Everything.
That's right.
White, black, yellow, red, green, whatever. All of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, man, I thought we were going to talk about it's my fault entirely. I'm like, what over here? What over here?
Hey, we keep our dancing shoes on.
That's right. That's right.
Talk about everything.
Man, did anybody have any questions?
Everybody's probably watching Joe Jorgensen and Spike Cohen tonight.
They're on?
Yeah.
And I'm talking to you?
I know, right? Yeah. Everybody's going to watch a rerun of this.
That's fair. That's fair.
At least they're watching, maybe.
Yeah. Best ballad I ever submitted. Joe wrote that while we were typing, or while I was ranting about something. We do have a few comments. I bet he's talking about voting for you. That's my guess.
Oh, nice.
That's
another great libertarian right there. I seen him on last night.
Yeah. Joe's absolute workhorse. Kyle's got a question for you.
My coming to days. I don't know. I'm gonna have to waffle on that one. I might have to try and make it out.
This was in response to our state convention. So maybe he's talking about me. I can see that.
Oh yeah, probably so. But no,
Joe
very
wrote something.
passionate dude. I believe that was Warren versus DC.
Oh, that's true.
Yes.
Right. So that's
yes.
Yeah, they are obligated to protect an accused, which they have detained, but they have no obligation to intervene to protect an individual. And we saw this with the school shooting in Florida. Is you had the police officer that didn't go in to do his thing, and he was afraid.
Right.
Now,
it's a little fun. I'm glad they brought that up because I've taken the carry conceal permit class here in Kentucky,
mm-hmm.
and we were shown a video, we were shown a video in Allen County, and it was a young lady. She was going out to eat with her parents. It was their anniversary, and she had just gotten her carry conceal permit, and she left her gun in the car.
Mm-hmm.
Long story short, somebody comes in to rob the place, or it was a disgruntled employee, and brandished firearms and started shooting. Well, then she realized that she had left her gun in the car. Sad story. I think her father wound up dying, and but we were told in the class that if we were out somewhere, we were almost obligated to, if somebody pulled a firearm and threatened another life, that since we had our carry conceal permit, and if we had our gun on her, we were almost, we had to step in. So, which is great, because the government shouldn't be stepping in. If you're there and you're firsthand, you're going to know, okay, that's the shooter, that's the bad guy. Where a cop's going to show up, he's going to be amped up. He's going to be looking, and sometimes a good guy with a gun can be mistaken for the bad guy with a gun. So, personal responsibility. It comes back to that.
I think it was about 2011, 2012. There was the attack on the Sikh temple in Michigan. Do you remember that?
Vaguely,
It was a long time ago, yeah. So I was working in Vegas at the time, and one of my absolute favorite all-time Muslims was working with me. I love this guy. He's from India. He's Muslim. His wife is Hindu. They live in the U.S. They celebrate absolutely everything.
Awesome.
So
that's America right there.
They will be at your Christmas party. They'll be at your New Year's party. They'll be at Thanksgiving. They're at everything.
That's the way it should be.
Right, and they love it that way. They love. He sends me a Christmas card every year. And it's not a holiday card. It's a Christmas card because that's the appropriate thing. The appropriate thing isn't what you worship. It's what the other person does. It would be a little inappropriate for me to send him a Christmas card. I mean, he'd probably laugh and be okay with it, but you see what I'm saying. But I turned to him because I didn't know anything about Sikhs, and they're the people who carry the ceremonial sword, and what that is. It's been like 8 years, so I'll muddle some of this. But my recollection of it is it was from a Muslim invasion into northern India, and a group of farmers came together and formed this group and helped to push out the Muslim invaders. But the sword represents their obligation to protect. So in their religion, the males are lions and the females are princesses, I believe. But you see a Sikh, a Sikh is obligated to protect the innocent. It's part of their religion. They're obligated to protect the innocent the same way you just described. And I know the Sikhs are disproportionately represented in the Indian military because of that. And I don't know for a fact, but I wouldn't doubt they're disproportionately represented in the police force as well. But that's back to what law enforcement is for. It's there to protect. And I mean, I understand the Supreme Court said, they're not obligated to. But I mean, in my mind, they're a whole lot more obligated to do that than they are to arrest people selling drugs on the black market that was created by the war on drugs.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
So we're paying for these people as a society. What do we want them doing? Where do we want their focus?
Well, and that brings up the we're paying these folks, and with ending qualified immunity, that right there, that's a big one.
Absolutely.
It's huge. Then maybe we could afford to pay cops a little bit more. We could get a better, I don't know the word, but just a better, I guess a skilled trade,
Right.
And instead of guys just want to go out there and make a name for themselves and
Kyle knows everything.
There he is.
There you go.
Man of the world. Yep. But yeah. It just goes back to, cops helping folks. And there are good cops, and I've
Absolutely.
There's we've seen it many times where a cop's seen a guy in distress and helped him out. And we need to see more of that. We need to do more of that.
Right. And if you've got a cop friend, you've heard those stories. You've heard. They're proud as hell of those. Of course they are. I mean, who wouldn't be?
But then on the other hand, you have like what the police union boss in New York.
Yeah.
His statement the other day.
Yeah.
It doesn't help. It doesn't.
No, it doesn't help.
I understand his passion. I do. but you work for us. Let's.
We all have our angry moments. But yeah, he did himself no favors with that one. It's like, I'm not saying he is a thug because I don't know him, but to me, watching that video, he came off like a thug. It's like,
yeah.
Sorry, buddy.
Gangster. You know, the mob.
Yeah, very very much so. I mean, it's a very recognizable mentality. I mean, when somebody says, "Look, you owe me respect," you know, that. I mean,
yeah, and I was raised up. Respect is given; it's earned, not given.
Right.
But now, then again, I was also taught to yes sir, no, no sir, yes ma'am, please and thank you. But at some point, that obviously hasn't worked for some folks.
Right. Joe must have got done. We're getting a following. Whew. Well, man, thanks for joining. I think we've covered about enough for one sitting. We'll have you back on to talk about some more, and maybe next time we'll go from point A to point B, and it won't be quite a stream of consciousness. That's okay.
Maybe it will be. Yeah.
Or maybe it will be. Yeah. I do want to point out to people that you can go to www.filback4ky.com, and you will see a site that looks a lot like this.
Look at that forehead.
Don't make fun of Christy like that.
Oh, making fun of me.
No, Christy's gonna kill me. I'm sorry, Christy. I'm like, I had to pick one. I had to pick a third party to take it wrong. But yeah, you're awesome, Christy. You look great. It's just had to make the joke. She is. And look at this fancy button up here. It says donate. Here we go. It says donate. I was looking at it on the wrong screen, and you can click on that, and you can send Tim money. Isn't that exciting? And he'll get it. And he'll do it. What are you going to do? Like yard signs?
Actually, we're trying to come up with $500 to get yard signs and I believe bumper stickers.
Okay.
And it's a great sign. I don't know if you've seen it. I wish I had something to show.
I have. That's the host fault. The host should have been prepared with stuff like that, but I didn't know I was going to ask what you were going to spend it on. So.
But yeah, and actually, Kyle came up. We were talking, and I was like, if folks would just mind their own business, and he's like, I got your campaign slogan, and it was mind your biscuits, and life will be great.
That's right. And
it's so true,
And we're I'm going with peace is prosperity. Randall Daniel came up. It's the same thing. We're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Cool. Thanks for joining me, man. And by the way, for people who are really interested, you can also go to perry4ky.com. You can also give me money. I'm very generous in accepting it that way. And I've also got a candidates page so that you can see a list of all our candidates. And you're much better at that than most people. It's more confusing than you'd think, folks. But that was good job. But you can look at my candidates page and you can see all the candidates. Maybe if you're not in Warren or Barron, it could turn out you're just as fortunate. Maybe you have Amanda Billings running, or maybe you get to vote for James Toller, or we have several of other people on there. So, go check out the candidates page and see what your options are, and give some of us some support, give some time. give some money, give some talent, give something, because we gotta get people in Frankfurt and we gotta get people in Washington that care about all your rights all the time. So, see you Monday. Thanks. Oopsie. There we go.
Hey, what about Mitch rushing, Robert?
We're not